Hello and welcome to the 63rd episode of the SCC Online Weekly Rewind. I am Prachi Bhardwaj and I have got for you some interesting legal updates from the week gone by and also the latest releases by EBC that will be immensely beneficial to the law students, legal professionals and the members of the bench. This week's top story is from the Supreme Court, where it has upheld sex workers' right to identity and has issued detailed directions for their protection and upliftment. The directions range from prohibiting police actions against consenting sex workers, police and medical protection for sex workers being victims of sexual assault, holding media accountable for voyeurism on revealing identity of sex workers, to directing UIDAI to issue Aadhaar card for them without insisting on address proof. It was observed that basic protection of human decency and dignity extends to sex workers and their children, who, bearing the brunt of social stigma attached to their work, are removed from the fringes of the society, deprived of their right to live with dignity and opportunities to provide the same for their children. Insurance companies refusing claims on flimsy or technical grounds must stop. This is what the Supreme Court observed while dealing with a case where an insurance company had refused to settle an insurance claim on non-submission of the duplicate certified copy of certificate of registration of the stolen vehicle. The court held that while settling the claims, the insurance company should not be too technical and ask for the documents which the insured is not in a position to produce due to circumstances beyond his control. Observing that a Hindu woman's right to maintenance is not an empty formality, the Supreme Court has held that by virtue of Section 14 Clause 1 of the Hindu Succession Act 1956, the Hindu widow's limited interest gets automatically enlarged into an absolute right when such property is possessed by her, whether acquired before or after the commencement of the 1956 Act in lieu of her right to maintenance. Where a Hindu widow is found to be in exclusive settled legal possession of the HUF property, that itself would create a presumption that such property was earmarked for realization of her pre-existing rights of maintenance, more particularly when the surviving co-partner did not earmark any alternative property for recognizing her pre-existing right of maintenance. In the case where the constitutionality of two central government notifications related to IGST was under scanner, the Supreme Court has held that since the Indian importer is liable to pay IGST on the composite supply comprising of supply of goods and supply of services of transportation, insurance, etc. in a CIF contract, a separate levy on the Indian importer for the supply of services by the shipping line would be in violation of Section 8 of CGST Act. The court observed that if Indian shipping lines continue to be taxed and not their competitors, it would drive the Indian shipping lines out of the business. Now moving on to the High Courts, stating that though the press has a duty to inform the public, the Kerala High Court has observed that it is the well-accepted thumb rule that the press shall not indulge in sensationalism or in speculating upon the guilt or otherwise of any accused or any other individual, or to create an opinion about the comportment or character of a person involved in the trial, and not to embellish by impelling or sponsoring an opinion they seek. The High Court also observed that press has a duty to inform the public the publication of lurid details and other sensitive investigative inputs which are within the sole jurisdiction of the courts to decide upon, certainly required to be put on a tight leash. in a matter pertaining to mental cruelty, has expressed that if a spouse by her own conduct, without caring about the future of the daughter, parts with ornaments which were meant for the marriage, it will be within the ambit of mental cruelty done by the wife. The bench also added to its observation that during the marriage ceremony in the Indian household, the presentation of the ornament is normally done, for which the parents start the effort from an early date. Expressing that in a democratic setup, there always would be voices of dissent and opinions against rules and protest against actions, the Punjab and Haryana High Court has observed that some protests may have aggression, but still an act of dissent would not be ordinarily labelled as sedition. The bench added that to attract an offence such as Section 124A IPC, there must be deliberate resistance and conscious defiance of authority with a conceived plan aimed to unsettle the elected government. Now on to some legislation updates. On May 25, 2022, the Ministry of Road Transport and Highway, in consultation with the Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority of India, has published the Motor Vehicles Third-Party Insurance-Based Premium and Liability Rules 2022 in order to revise the base premium for third-party insurance for unlimited liability. The rules shall come into force on 1st of June 2022. The International Financial Services Centres Authority has revised the application and registration fee under IFSCA Fund Management Regulations 2022. For revised fee structure, read our full story on the SCC online blog. Now it's time for some book releases by EBC. EBC had 2 book releases this fortnight. The first is a legal fiction by Sanjay Ghosh titled How Gaurango Lost His O, chronicling the life of a fictional struggling lawyer. You will certainly enjoy this one. The second book launch was on 2 books on arbitration. The first was Saurabh Bindal and R.V. Prabhat's Arbitration and Conciliation, a commentary, and the second was 12th edition of Avtar Singh's Arbitration and Conciliation. Both the books are thoroughly updated with the latest statutory updates, especially post-2015 amendment of the arbitration law. Apart from this, 4 comprehensive Supreme Court case law digests have also hit the market. Head over to the EBC web store to grab your digest of the laws laid down by the Supreme Court from 1950 till date on insolvency and bankruptcy law, insurance and insurance consumer cases, intellectual property, and international law. That's all from this week. Stay tuned to the SCC online blog for the best legal analytical news.